If you're an entrepreneur, a CEO, or a business owner, and you haven't heard the phrase conditional awareness, this episode is for you. Welcome back to the Living Vision Show. My name is Aaron Velke. I'm your host. And today we've got to dissect a common problem for us creatives, dreamers, believers, and achievers. This idea of conditional awareness is not just for business owners, though. Anyone can benefit from learning about what it is and how to solve it. It's a problem that I've faced over and over and over. It's probably crippling you as well, wherever you are at whatever stage of your business, whether you're just beginning or you're worth 7, 8, or 9 figures. This idea of conditional awareness is a problem because of how silent it is. And today's episode is going to help you break free from this conditional avoidance trap that all of us get stuck in. I get stuck in this too, and help you make motion in the things that matter most to you. Now, if you're paying attention to this on audio only, if you are in Spotify or on YouTube, I'm telling you, you're missing out, because I'm going to be using this whiteboard here behind me, this amazing electronic whiteboard, to map out what this conditional avoidance method, this trap, looks like and how to solve it. So if you haven't gotten on YouTube and subscribed, now is your chance. Check it out. We're going to break this thing down. Let's jump right into it. Conditional avoidance is delaying or deferring a meaningful goal by inserting an improper condition. Delaying or deferring a meaningful goal by inserting an improper condition. Today, we're going to focus on why this happens, how this happens, and then how you can recognize when it's happening. Because the most important thing to me is you start living into the vision that you're capable of, not just sitting and observing it from a distance. So let's think of it this way. If you're only listening, this will not be as salient to you. Nonetheless, you can pay attention all the same. To break this down, I'm going to build a little mini equation for you, and we're going to use letters. The first letter that we have is A. A is for action. The second letter we have in this equation is C. C is condition. And what those two things mean together is the letter M for meaningful goal. So here's what happens. If we have this little micro equation, we have action plus condition equals meaningful goal. There's an action that we have to take. There's a condition that must be met. And if we have the action and the condition, then we can move towards our meaningful goal, right? A plus C equals M. Well, conditional avoidance is ultimately about the condition that sits here in the middle. So here's how it typically works. And I hear this all the time as a coach. I hear it with my friends. I also do it myself. I'm not immune to this. It's just important that we call it out. So if you're listening today, I want you to examine this in yourself and see if you can find the opportunities for you to stop with conditional avoidance. Let's think about a meaningful goal that you might have. Let's say that you want to take your family on vacation for a week, your whole family, the extended family. Well, what we typically do is we look at the meaningful goal and we say, okay, what condition has to be made before I can take action? And that condition for you might be needing a certain amount of money. Okay, great. Maybe there's some reality in that. But this structure gets more and more dicey the more we examine it. You might have something like, well, I'm going to get in shape. That might be your meaningful goal. I'm going to get shape. I'm going to run a marathon or sign up for an Ironman. And all of a sudden, we start to look at what action is necessary and then what condition has to be met. And when we start to look at something like a meaningful goal that's bigger, what we end up creating is a condition that is improperly set. And here's what I mean by that. If I said to you, I'm going to spend more time with my son when I get more money, it's an improper condition. I don't need more money to spend more time with my son. It's an improperly set condition. And then what happens is I don't take the action. So the action gets deferred because I've made this condition up, right? I've put this condition in the middle of it. And deliberately, because I have a condition, I can defer the action, right? I can delay the action. And this happens all the time. Let's think of some other meaningful goals. I'll get married. It could be I'll tell my parents about my beliefs, or I'll disagree with them. I'll stand up to them. This could be about spending more quality time with the family. getting in shape, signing up for an Ironman. We talked about those. This could be about going away on a big adventure. This could be quitting your job. We create all these conditions because we're looking for the right moment to take the action. But most of the conditions that we create have nothing to do with the meaningful goal or the action that's required. Let's dig in a little deeper here. What I have found is that when I set a meaningful goal, what I end up usually doing and hearing in my head are a list of conditions that have to be met before I can take action. I'll give you a concrete example so that you can work through it. I am working on a talk that will be on a platform that rhymes with Ned. And in that, I've said this for a long time. I would love to do a TED Talk. I really want to work on a TED Talk, work towards a TED Talk. But I made all these conditions. I need to have the business in a certain place. I need to have enough of a following or a certain amount of following. I need to have the business or the success at a certain level to where I can do a TED Talk. And all these conditions, what they do is they prevent me from taking action. They tell me some story about why I can't and justify for me why I'm avoiding it. Same thing happens when people say, I want to write a book, right? The meaningful goal, I want to write a book. Well, I'll write a book when I have a certain net worth, the business is big enough, I have a number of employees. Name the set of conditions and you'll find the avoidance. The reality is anyone can write a book, literally anyone in 2025 going into 2026. And all it takes is this deliberate action. But if we get stuck here and we aren't taking action, it's usually because the conditions have not been met. Here's the reality of this. And here's the beauty of it. If you can recognize your conditions, you will probably set yourself free to begin work towards said meaningful goal. Here's another one. You might say, when I become a millionaire or when my net worth is 10 million or 20 million or 50 million, I'll start a nonprofit. But you don't need a net worth that high to start a nonprofit. What you've got to do is fill out paperwork. What you've got to do is commit to the idea. You have to generate the idea and then commit to it. You might have a meaningful goal like signing up for an Ironman. Well, I can tell you something, whether it's a marathon, one of my closest friends just completed an Ironman at 50, 49 technically. He's 50 in a week. When you commit to the thing, the task, right, the Ironman or the marathon, that's when the action starts. But the first action is signing up, right? You can sign up for one of those events, one of those major challenges months and months, years ahead sometimes. And once that happens, then you'll have to start taking action. Here's what I'm trying to say to you. There is something in your life that you are committing to in your head based on a series of conditions. That might be proposing. That might be getting in shape finally. That might mean quitting your job. That might mean taking your business to the next level. That might mean scaling your company. That might mean getting yourself out of your day-to-day ops of the business and doing art or something more meaningful, right? Impact work. But there are conditions. And I'm willing to bet you, and then you can take me up on this, I'm willing to bet you that most of the conditions that you're setting for everything that you want to do that's meaningful are completely false. They're improperly placed. Conditions become this wall for us to actually move forward. Now, here's what ends up happening in my head. And I hope this helps you navigate what's going on in your head. When I look at the reasons I can't pursue my meaningful goal, my excuses, that's where I find my conditions. So what I look for and listen to is the story that I'm telling myself about it. There was a book I published in 2020. And before publishing it, I was rolling in excuses. It took me a long time to get writing. It took me about 4 years to write that book because I started, stop. I can't write that book. I wrote the book after 12 years of coaching girls soccer, right? I was doing it professionally. I knew that space really well. I coached high-level programs. I coached high school. I was running solo trainings. I was just fully immersed. Yet the excuses ran rampant, just like they are for you. I'm not a woman. I'm not a parent. I haven't coached long enough. I don't have a degree in, I don't even know what I said, probably a degree in sports or kinesiology or who knows, right? But I don't have the right credentials. I'm not certified as a top tier coach. I haven't won any major tournaments. Whatever it was, I didn't. My high school programs never won states. There was something about my excuses that started to get so loud, and eventually, what happens for anybody successful is that they start to assess the conditions and evaluate whether they're meaningful or not. Are they real? And again, most of our conditions are not real at all. There's no reason I can't publish a book just because I'm not a mom, just because I'm not a woman, just because I'm not a parent, just because I didn't win states. On my experience, I'm sharing my experience, my lesson, my wisdom. It has nothing to do with credentials. And at that point, it set me free to go. And if we can remove the condition, we simply have action moves us towards the meaningful goal. But oftentimes it feels like we can't take action until we have this condition met. Let's take another couple of examples. I got a call one time from a guy who told me that he wanted to double his business and wanted help. Rather successful 7-figure business and wanted to grow it. And I asked him, it took several iterations of this question, but I asked him why many times. And we finally got to a place where he could admit that the reason he wanted to double his business is so he could spend the mornings with his kid, not running the business, not putting out fires, not dealing with drama from employees. He just didn't want to deal with it. Now, mind you, his kid was 7 years old. His daughter was 7 years old. And in having that conversation, it became really apparent that he had created a condition that he couldn't spend more time with his daughter. He couldn't hire an EA. He couldn't somehow find a way to get an hour a morning free until he doubled his revenue. He made a complete condition, a holistic condition. If I don't have Y, I can't do X. And what we started to unfurl and roll out and just assess was what are these conditions and are they real? At the core, we found something very interesting. And that was that if he just hired someone, a VA, an EA, to be available for 2 hours in the morning, 2 hours a day in the morning, he would be able to spend time with his daughter. It's fascinating how this happens, right? We create conditions that block us from what matters. Well, what did we do? We set up structure. We looked at what would need to be covered during those hours. And in 3 months' time, he was able to graduate from conditional avoidance into spending time with his daughter appropriately, right? We got C out of the way and we focused on M. What needs to happen? So we got action oriented towards M. Here's another example. I have a client that said he wanted to sell his business, but in order to do that at the level that he wanted to, he needed to 5x revenue from 5 million to 25 million. I'm like, great. We got some work to do. Then I started to ask why. Why do you want to sell it? What would you do? What would happen if you finally didn't have this obligation and burnout that was happening? And he says, well, I think I'd go start a veteran nonprofit, see if I can help veterans. I'm like, well, that's fascinating because you just told me a condition that's unnecessary. Starting a veteran nonprofit does not take a $25 million business that then you exit from to start. It requires commitment. It requires a bit of ingenuity and a bit of go get 'em. But the action is actually very clear to do that. So is running it. You also don't need $25 million in revenue and then an exit to run a nonprofit. I know because I've done it. This is a pervasive thing. And if you're a business owner and entrepreneur, I would really hard press you to think about like, what are the conditions that I'm setting and why are they here? What exactly is going on for me to have no action towards what I really care about? Now, I don't care what your thing is. Maybe it's learning how to dance. Okay, well, let's take that. If you want to learn to dance and you don't know how to take action on that, which would mean what? Signing up for a class, Googling where people do this, talking to your friends and being like, hey, anybody know how to like find a class where I can learn a salsa? What's the condition? I'll do it when I have more time. You're never going to have more time. You've always had the same amount of time. What we have to do is prioritize differently. What's the other conditions? When I feel better, when I can move, first I need to finish all my work. Like there's not going to be a time where you do this. We have to wedge it in and we have to prioritize it by removing the conditions. Here's another one. We might say, well, I just don't have the revenue to hire help. And yet, if you look at overseas markets for VAs and EAs, you can get a very, very potent, very powerful support team built under you for fractions of what it would cost here in the States, even if it only saves you a couple hours a week or a couple hours a day, right? There's conditions in the way. I hear all the time, like, Aaron, I can't afford to hire someone full time, right? I need help That's the meaningful goal. I need help running the day to day or getting stuff off my plate, but I can't hire someone full time. I'm like, okay, well, that's a crazy condition. You don't need to hire someone full time. Hire them part time. The condition is in the way, right? Conditional avoidance. I'm delaying or deferring a meaningful goal. I'm putting it off because of an improperly placed condition. The condition keeps me from progressing. Here's another couple that I really struggled with, and I still do. I think this is normal. Like, if you're not dealing with this, what are you doing? You either don't know your meaningful goals, or you're just caught in the day to day so much that you're not thinking ahead. Here's another example. If I said to you, like, okay, guys, I want to host a giant family event. I want to really pull my extended family together. I want to be the host of an extended family trip. Okay, meaningful goal. What are the conditions? Well, I need more money because I have to pay for everything. Okay, is that real? Is it not real? I don't know. Let's keep on going. I don't have time. I don't have time to plan it. There's ways to get it planned or have my VA and team help with that. Another condition might be they don't have time. Okay, well, how do I know unless I ask them? Like, these three things that pop in my head, once I actually hear them and start to evaluate them, I can assess whether they're real or not. And in many ways, they're not real, right? I can set it out a year from now or host a family reunion a year from now, 2 years from now if I need to, and just get it on the books. But I can't do anything if I just submit to the conditions. Now, here's what's happening underneath all this. And I want to be direct about it because I don't think we're having these conversations. I was just at a GoBundance event in Banff, and I hear this stuff all the time. You know, I'm going to get in shape when, or I'll have a better relationship with my spouse or my partner or my girlfriend when, I'll start having fun when, I'll travel when. And these become conditions, right? We're looking at conditions and saying, when these conditions are checked off, then I'll make movement towards this. And I hear this all the time. Here's what's happening. You're just avoiding whatever is uncomfortable. I think that entrepreneurs are really good at being great at their work. And then anything that isn't done at a really high level is avoided. Like, it sucks to be a beginner. And the Achilles heel of every expert I've ever known is looking bad because their ego is shattered. It's looking like you don't know what you're doing, being a beginner. It's not being praised. It's being the random unknown guy in the room, right? You're not significant. You're not cool. You're not special. You're just the guy in the back of the class doing the thing with everybody else and looking like a rookie. That's funny to me that we avoid that, right? We became experts to avoid being a beginner. And in the process of that, what I've noticed is that there are a ton of meaningful goals that people have deferred just out of avoidance. Here's when entrepreneurs put conditions in between action and meaningful goals. I hope this hits you right in the gut today. We put conditions in when we do not know how to get somewhere, when we don't know the full roadmap, when we're unsure of ourselves, when we're unclear on the commitment, or we are maybe undisciplined in what is necessary to get there. When there's an unknown in between, can I get to my meaningful goal and where do I start? Which is usually any meaningful goal, right? We don't know the middle. We just know maybe where can I start and then where does it end? Then we put in these conditions that are bananas. I've had guys tell me numbers of times they'll spend time with their kids when they make more money. I've had guys tell me they'll spend more time with the family when they have a bigger team. Like, as if having a bigger team is going to make your business need you less, unless you set it up that way. There is comedy in all of this, but I want to give you some encouragement, because this is really about, can you understand that there's avoidance happening? We're avoiding doing something that matters to us because we don't know how to do it. If I said to myself, like, okay, you know what, Aaron, you've always wanted to learn how to speak French. Okay, well, what's in the way? All right, well, I need an hour a week. Do I need an hour a week? I don't know. I don't know that I need that. Maybe I can do like 5 minutes a day with Duolingo or something of that nature. There's always going to be something within me that finds conditions. It will always be there. It's irrelevant for me to think or plan as if I'm never going to have conditions. I'm not saying that you won't have conditions. I'm simply helping you identify what the actual problem is. Here's what I think. I'm drawing for those of you that are listening. I think that when we finally get conditions met, so I'm writing the word conditions. If we look at the conditions that we have, there's usually, a couple of them. And what we're really looking for is, do these conditions, when I check them off, will they allow me to start? And here's the trap. When the conditions are outlined, they have nothing to do with step one. They might have something to do with like step 1104, but they don't have anything to do with step one. So if we map this out, if we really start looking at what's going on here, we're creating conditions that are irrelevant at the beginning, right? They're not connected to the very first step. We also know that the conditions are blocking us from starting because there's an unknown. So in some way, what relationship am I trying to create? I'm going to go step one, right? I'm going to remove the conditions. And I'm going to go into step one. Well, what happens after I step into the first piece of a journey? Well, I'm back in the unknown. And when I'm back in the unknown, what's the only thing that I can do? Step one. It becomes this inevitable loop. And the opportunity that all of us have is to get much better at identifying that there's only ever a step one. There's only ever one option. Now, I'm not saying that doesn't mean there are optionalities inside of step one. But if I'm doing something I've never done, let's say, I don't know, I'm learning how to use the nunchucks, right? I don't even know where step one would be. Step one would be like Googling where there's a class, right? So as soon as that happens, I then am in the unknown. Well, is my schedule going to handle it? When do they offer it? What do I need to buy? Like I'm back in the unknown because I've taken one step further into a place that I'm unfamiliar with. Then from that place, okay, I sign up for a class. Where am I now? I'm back in the unknown. I go to the class. I walk in. I don't even have the right equipment, or maybe they send me a list and they tell me what to buy. Okay, unknown. Now I'm in the first class. Well, I have no idea what they're going to teach me. I don't even know whether I'm good or bad at it. Where am I? I'm back in the unknown. All of our progress towards a meaningful goal is based on our relationship with the unknown. So what do we do if we have a shitty relationship with the unknown? Conditional avoidance. We insert conditions that prevent us from moving because we're afraid of what's in the middle. The middle being step one all the way to the end goal. This is a pervasive issue. And if you take time today to think about what is in the way of you starting step one to move towards your goals, I can promise you, you will start moving faster. The identification of the condition is the solution to progress. Like when you stop and you're like, well, that doesn't make sense. Why am I not starting? Cool. Then go. I'll name the top three conditions. Number one is money. So there's some sort of money tied to it. Could be a net worth, could be a dollar figure, could be amount of savings, could be amount of liquidity, could be amount of business revenue. But we often make these things about money. Something like learning how to do the nunchucks, which is a really interesting idea that just popped in my head. I kind of want to do this. If anybody knows where to buy a set of nunchucks, this might be fun. So if I said, okay, I need more money to learn how to use the nunchucks, if I actually look it up, it's probably like less than $300 for me to get a decent start, right? Go to a couple classes and buy the equipment. Like it's really not that crazy, especially when your business is cranking out and you're running your own company and you're successful. There's no reason that $300 should stop you from any of those choices. The second condition that I hear all the time is about minutes, about time, about freedom. So if I said to someone, hey man, your house is on fire and you've got to get home right away, you'd probably drop everything, leave your business, leave the company and go. If I said to you, hey, your kid is sick and you need to be in the hospital with them for the next 6 hours, your business would still run and you'd figure it out. The problem isn't time. The problem is priorities, right? There has to be a reconfiguration of what matters most. Otherwise, you're not going to make this thing, this meaningful goal come to life. Whether it's an Ironman, a relationship that you need to put time into, learning how to communicate emotions, or developing yourself. There has to be a priority for it. Otherwise, it will never matter. And time is not the issue. The issue is what time commitments you're unwilling to yield or let go of. That's the second one. The third one, oh my goodness. If I had a million, if I just had like $1 for some of the moments where I've heard this, or every time someone said something like this, I would lose my shit. I'd be so rich. I'd be like Scrooge McDuck in it right now. The third one is when I'm ready. I'm not ready. I'm not ready. What the hell does that even mean? Because most of the progress towards a meaningful goal, you can't get ready for it. First of all, you've probably never done it. And second of all, what does it mean to be ready? What does it mean to be ready to launch a nonprofit? What does it mean to be ready to get married? What does it mean to get ready to date? What does it mean to get ready to be a better dad, or ready to like finally produce the music that you want? What the hell is ready? There is no such thing as being ready for something. I'm not going to let you off the hook that easy. Money, time, and readiness are the top 3 conditions that we create. And they all have different shapes and forms, but they usually boil down to those 3. I think that each and every one of you listening, you specifically today, or if you're watching, can take action today to move on step 1. And once you start moving on step 1, you've got momentum. Now you can go to 2. Now you can go, but really you're just playing a game of step 1s over and over and over. Conditional avoidance is a thing. It's a nasty and gnarly trait that we have because we don't know how to get where we want to go. That's all it is. And if you can admit, hey, dude, I have no idea how to get good at dance. Hey, I have no idea, or I'm scared. I have no idea, or I'm scared how to actually connect with my kid. That's a much better question. Now you're not avoiding it. Now you at least have put the problem on the table. But we create all these conditions in this formula, right? A plus C equals M, that really like chop us off at the ankle. They castrate our ability to move forward, and they stifle our opportunity to grow. Conditional avoidance. It is the delay or the deferral of a meaningful goal by installing an improper condition. I want you to think about your most meaningful goal. I want you to text it to me and tell me the conditions that are in front of you. Drop it in the comments. Let me know what your condition is, because I'm willing to bet you've got some conditions on things that matter to you that are completely irrelevant. And if you can't see them, I'll tell you. Put the condition in the comments, send me a DM, and I'll help you restate it. Because at the end of the day, life is very, very short. And if you are deferring some of these things that really matter to you, your meaningful goals, whatever they are to you, whether it's writing a book or creating a scrapbook. Today I was sitting here, I'm getting ready to record this podcast, and I wanted to print out some of the photos of me, my son, some of these really cool events that we've had over the last several weeks as gifts for people. And it's so easy for me to defer it. It doesn't have to be like climbing Mount Everest. It could be like little stuff, getting ready for Christmas, writing a handwritten card to somebody. I'll do it when I have time. No, do it now. Do it right now. I don't know what I would write. Okay, then start writing. And if you can start to do this, you will become a powerful person, not a forceful person. Read that book from Hawkins, Power versus Force. You'll become a powerful person because your conditions no longer stop you. Your conditions no longer determine when something happens. You decide and you go. That swift launch into action will change your life. And I want you free from the trap of conditional avoidance. I think there's an opportunity for all of us to get better at this, me included, but we have to call it out. We have to give it a name, and we have to work on it. CAT, the conditional avoidance trap. No more cats. Let's get into motion. I appreciate you being here. Drop a comment if you like this. Leave me a review on Apple or Spotify, and tune into YouTube because I'm going to start diagramming more and more of this using this sweet board. If you don't know about Vibe Board and you present often, you got to get one of these. Okay, squad. Thank you for tuning into the show. Stop avoiding, start choosing to go, and I'll see you on the next episode.